Hi everybody, Ryan here. So now we're going to talk about assembling your project in After Effects. So I've got open my Project 2 render folder, which is on my desktop. It has all of my frames that I rendered out of Cinema 4D from frame 0 all the way down to frame 1000. And so we're going to open up After Effects and we're going to create a new composition. Under the presets, you're going to want to make sure that HDV/HDTV 720 29.97, the 29.97 is the frames per second, is selected. And that should populate your width with 1280 and your height by 720. This is the same size that we would have rendered out of Cinema 4D. Your frame rate, 29.97. And then you probably want to select and set your duration at, let's just go 55 for now. We can change that later if your animation is shorter or longer. And click OK. So then now that we're in After Effects, we're going to want to go to File, Import, and File. You can also get here by clicking Command-I. And we're going to navigate out to our desktop or wherever you rendered your files to. And select Project 2 Render, and just select the very first frame of that render. Make sure TIFF sequence is checked, and click Open. So this is going to bring in all of your frames in order like we did in exercise number 3. And we'll drag this down to the timeline and take a look at that so you can see now instead of just still frames it looks like an animation. So we have that, that's good. Now we want to add a new solid layer, same size as our stage. We're going to make this black and click OK. I'm going to make this about, let's go out on the timeline to about 2 seconds. Make that about 2 seconds. Twirl these arrows down here. And we're going to select, make an opacity keyframe at 2 seconds. We're going to go back to about 1 second. And make another keyframe. Go forward to our second keyframe and change that opacity to 0. So now we've got a fade in onto our project. But we don't necessarily want the animation to start until the fade in. So let's drag that out to the first keyframe there. And we can kind of cheat it here. We're going to go back to go File, Import File, and we're going to select that first keyframe again, but this time we're going to uncheck TIFF sequence. So now it's just going to import that one frame. So we're going to drag that down into our timeline. We're going to make that only 2 seconds long. And so now it's going to have a hold while it fades in. And so we've got our fade in. Let's copy and paste. Let's rename one of these fade in, and we'll rename the other one fade out. And we'll drag the fade out here to the end. Twirl the arrow down. So now our opacity is reversed. We want this to be 100% black in the middle and 0% black at the beginning. See, I just drug that keyframe to the beginning there, and so now it should, we don't have anything that's going to reveal. So we need to do the same thing that we did before. Command-I to import. Select the very last frame of our file. Click Open. Drag that in. We're just going to make this the length of the end there. Okay, so we've got our fade in and our fade out. Now let's add some music. Again, we can go File, Import, File, or Command-I. And I've got some music here on my desktop. And then we're just going to add that in here. And then you can do with that what you need to. So our composition is longer than what we need it to be, so we can grab this little mustard yellow brass button and drag that to the end of where we want our rendering to stop. And that's about it. So you would save your file, go to Composition, add to render queue. Under Output Module, change lossless format to H.264. Make sure audio output is checked. Click OK. Then output to. You want to output this to wherever you want to save your file. Let's call this first test. And save it to the desktop. Click Save. And then click Render and your project will start rendering. Alright, I hope this was helpful. Thanks.